guys, what's going on? Yeah, hi. Welcome to my craft room. You just walked in on me spinning on my wheel. But so glad you could join me today because yeah, that was completely staged. I'm really bad at acting. But anyway, I'm so glad that you're here. And today I thought that I would do something just a little bit different. A couple of people that I know are getting back into spinning or just learning to spin. So I thought that I would sit down with you this week and chat spinning. Talk about my spinning journey, how I learned to spin and how we got to this point right here with Tallulah, my wheel. We have a history together. So if that's something that you're into, gather around, grab a cup of something, and let's get into things. All right, my friends, let's talk spinning. How did I learn how to spin? Well, my friends, I just checked the calendar and it looks like that I learned to spin exactly 10 years ago. I remember it was my 30th birthday and I had a party at a bar, as you do, and I invited a bunch of my knitting friends. And one of them, Kim, I don't know if you're watching, but she surprised me with my very first drop spindle. You know, I was not even thinking about learning to spin. It wasn't on my radar. It's just one of these extra, knitting adjacent crafts that, yeah, I didn't see myself getting into, but lo and behold, she gifted me my very first drop spindle. It was a very simple top whirl drop spindle with this really pretty laser cut snowflake shaped whirl at the top. And when she gifted it to me, she said, "Kristen, we've got to get you spinning. You have to learn how to spin." And to that I said, challenge accepted. I'm here for it. So, we had a really great night. It was a great birthday party. I still can't believe it's been 10 years, but here we are. I'm 40 years old and I have a wheel and I'm getting back into spinning. So anyway, getting ahead of myself. But funny story about that night, because the next morning I woke up, I was so excited to, get spinning, to learn and everything. I knew nothing. This is when we were living in Brooklyn in our tiny apartment. So I was looking all over this tiny apartment for my drop spindle and could not find this thing. And then I get this sinking feeling that, holy crap, I left it at the bar. I'm pretty sure I left it at the bar. So, it was the morning. So I was calling the bar periodically throughout the day. Eventually by around 5 o'clock when it probably opens, someone picked up and, just imagine that conversation, trying to explain to a muggle what a drop spindle is. I was like, "Hi, I was at the bar last night with a bunch of friends and I may have left something behind." And the guy was like, "Yeah, what did you leave behind?" And I was like, "Okay, this is gonna sound weird, but it's this long stick with a snowflake on top and a little hook." I was met with immediate silence for a little bit, but he said, "I'll be right back." A couple of minutes later, he came back on the phone and sure enough, they had it. Mischief managed. I ran over to the bar and picked it up. So yeah, I thought I'd share that little anecdote with you guys because, so yes, I brought my spindle home and I, proceeded to watch all of the YouTube videos, just binging as many as I could. And for some reason, I just could not grasp it. Craftsy.com just came around. If you're not familiar, Craftsy.com was a online learning community for crafters. It was subscription based and it's still around, but just not in the same capacity. I think they went under for a while. They were bought out by Blueprint and then they came back and now it's, it's still like an online learning community, but just in some other different capacity. So because YouTube wasn't doing it for me, I decided to check out Craftsy to see what they had to offer. And lo and behold, they had this class called From Fluff to Stuff. It was a drop spindling course. It was $19. And back then I had never signed up for an online course before. I was determined to get this whole drop spindling down. So I signed up. It was only $19 at the time again. And it really helped me learn how to drop spindle. The way the instructor described things, it really just clicked for me and I was spinning in no time. So it was, a really great experience. I think it really helped that she described how to hold your fiber when you're drafting from it. I had a death grip. So when she said, don't, hold your fiber so tight when you're drafting, just hold it, pretend you're holding like a small little delicate bird in your hand. And that really helped me just lose the death grip. And before I knew it, the rest was history. Once I learned to spin, I was off. I could not stop spinning. I was just, doing it more than knitting, I think, at this point. And I always joked with Kim, I said, I think you've created a spinning monster here because I also fell down the rabbit hole of collecting all the drop spindles. I mean, yeah, again, it's been 10 years and I am sad to say that I don't drop spindle as much as I used to. They just kind of live in this little tumbler on my shelf up here and they just, they're so nice to look at and they look pretty. Let's go through what drop spindles I have. Sadly, I do not have the drop spindle that Kim gifted me originally. I honestly don't know what happened to that. If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure I gifted it to my niece. She went through a phase of wanting to learn to spin. I gave her a couple of spindles that I had in my stash that, just to play around with. So hopefully the drop spindle is with her. I don't know what her spinning journey looks like at this point. She's 14 now, so hopefully down in the future she'll come back to it and we can have a little spin sesh together. But anyway, let's see what's in here. This is a really great beginner spindle. This is by Shacked. It's your average run-of-the-mill top whirl drop spindle, nothing fancy. And I have to say, this is a really great spindle to get started with. So that's one. I'm gonna just tuck these in here for the time being. I'm gonna come back to you. Spanish Peacock, holy cow, they have some really beautiful handmade laser cut spindles. So this one, it's very reminiscent of the snowflake one that Kim gave me. I remember Spanish Peacock spindles being really hard to get because they would sell out really fast, but at one point I managed to snag one and I was so happy about it. I will say the one issue that I have with this spindle is that there's no notch to rest your singles on when you're spinning. So whatever you're spinning kind of slips and slides along the edge here. Again, not a deal breaker, but having a little notch somewhere around the edge right there would just be great. But still a really great spindle. Love it. Yeah, let me see this one. Yes, this is my Bosworth. I mean, this is an investment piece, my friends, but these spindles are so incredibly well made. As you can see, there is a notch at the edge right there to rest your fiber. And there's also a little weight at the bottom right here, which, helps weigh down your spindle when you're spinning it. Yeah, just a really, really well made, beautiful spindle. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Bosworth, I don't think. So there's that. And then this one is really fun. This spindle is by AaronMakesStuff. And the thing that I love about this is that he has he makes them out of, I guess, used colored pencils. I will say that my one issue with these spindles is that they don't spin very well. They're not very balanced. I usually prefer to use this spindle to ply my singles together. Just because, yeah, when I spin, it's a little wibbly wobbly. So not a really great spinning experience, but it is fun to look at. And if I were to spin with it again, I would definitely use it to ply my singles. And unfortunately, AaronMakesStuff, they no longer make these spindles. You might be able to find them on eBay or a Ravelry D-stash if you are interested. But yeah, just really, really beautiful and fun to look at. And yeah, again, good for plying. This is another one of my favorite drop spindles. This is by Golding, and I think it's one of their micros. It has an ebony wood inlay, and then it's framed with this metal, I want to say brass or bronze, I forget, but yeah, it's just a really well-weighted, nice drop spindle for making really fine singles. And that's the thing, if you are drop spindling, the heavier your drop spindle, the finer your singles are going to be. Or, if that's the goal, you want to go for a heavier weight drop spindle. And this spins really beautiful fine yarn, fine singles, I should say. So yeah, that is my Golding. And yeah, it has 2 notches on either side. And funny story about this one, I was at a knit night with friends and we were getting a little silly. We had some wine and I accidentally dropped my drop spindle, as you do, except it fell directly into my wine glass, which was like right by my feet. I have a photo of it somewhere. I'll insert it here. But yeah, guys, don't drink and spin. Spin responsibly. So yeah, that's my Golding. And this spindle right here is really fun. I'm not sure if he's still in business, but this is called a Trindle. And it has a very narrow carbon shaft. He makes different types of shafts. You can pick your materials. And the cool thing is you can customize it. So he makes multiple different arms out of different types of beads, stones, gems. This one is malachite, I believe, but yeah, it's just a really fun spindle. And, I really like that you can, swap these out. Like the arms will pop out and pop in so you can get different colors. And yeah, just customize it to your liking. And each of the beads weigh different weights. So yeah, if you want to make it heavier or lighter, you can adjust your spindle as such. I will leave a link to all of these makes down below, so if you want to check them out yourself, you can. So those are my top whirl spindles, but I'd be remiss not to talk about Turkish spindles. And I have to say, Turkish spindles are Probably my favorite type of spindle, just because they're so beautiful to look at, and the way you wind singles onto a Turkish spindle can be so beautiful and artistic, and yeah, it's really cool, guys. So these are the two that I own, and this one, the small one, is, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it. I purchased it off of Etsy. It's handmade. It's this beautiful wood. Subterranean Woodworks. Yes, that is who makes this Turkish spindle. It's by Subterranean Woodworks, and it has this really beautiful wooden inlay. And once you have a loaded spindle, you just simply pop the arms off the shaft like that and remove the arms, and you have a nice little cake to ply from or wind from. So really, really cool. And this one right here, I purchased this. I had no business purchasing this. This is a Jenkins spindle, and I purchased this from Rhinebeck several years ago, and these are stunning, my friends. This one is made out of ebony wood. It's 0.95 ounces. I like when they tell you how much a spindle weighs, so you can kind of gauge, like, you know, okay, what kind of what kind of yarn is this gonna spin? 27 grams. Okay, cool. And he signs every single one of his spindles. They're so beautiful, my friends. Highly recommend this. I really want to get back into spindling at some point. So anyway, those are my drop spindles. And if you're not into learning through video, some books that I would recommend in learning how to drop spindle are this book, Respect the Spindle, Spin Infinite Yarns with One Amazing Tool by Abby Frank-Wilmot. And yeah, my friends, Abby Frank-Wilmot is where it's at when it comes to drop spindling. She's the queen of drop spindling. You want to learn to spin? Take a course with Abby. Sadly, she didn't have one on Craftsy, at least the last time I looked, but this book is invaluable when it comes to it. It's a treasure trove of information when it comes to drop spindling. Just really beautiful photographs and everything, step-by-step instructions. I mean, she runs the full gamut in here. You know what to know about spindles, spinning on a spindle, spindle spun projects, a history of drop spindling. You know, this is a must. So do check out that book. And then another book that was recommended to me, it's called High Whirling by Priscilla A. Gibson Roberts. And I don't know if this is still being published. I purchased this off of Amazon used. You might be able to find one floating around Amazon still or on eBay, but if you can get your mitts on this, definitely check it out. I mean, again, you don't get beautiful photographs like you do in Abby Frank-Wilmot's book, but you still get a lot of really useful illustrations. I mean, you know, you can learn about the different hook styles. Again, there's history in here, tips for getting started. You get the anatomy of a spindle. It's just, it's so good. So good, guys. Definitely check that out if you can. Now, you're probably wondering, at what point did I start looking into wheels? And yeah, after amassing all of these spindles and learning how to spin and getting the gist of it, I did get to a point where I started getting curious about wheels. People say that when you do make a large purchase, you know, like a sewing machine or buying a car, you should probably take a few for a test drive. Hi, my name is Kristen, and I can be a little impatient. I was very excited, and you know, I talked to a couple of my friends, and they already had a Lendrum. They loved their Lendrums. They swore by their Lendrums, and I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna get a Lendrum. So pulled the trigger on a Lendrum DT or Double-Treadle. They do make a model with just one treadle, but yours truly has a bad back, and I figured if I got a Double-Treadle, we could help even things out and keep things stable, and yeah, that was definitely the way to go. So yeah, this is Tallulah, and I got her name because I used to have a pet bird named Tallulah that I named after Tallulah Bankhead, and unfortunately, my little parrot Tallulah passed away, and I missed her dearly, and I decided to immortalize her in my wheel. So Tallulah, my friends. And I love her. Having never spun on a wheel before, this was definitely taking a risk, but what can I say? This is what I do. I'm motioning over there because my sewing machine is over there, the Janome 2212. I did the same thing. I got excited, did some research online, and the Janome 2212 got some great reviews, purchased it off Amazon, and again, no regrets, love it. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, do as I say, not as I do. If you can, do sit down with a wheel, do sit down with a sewing machine, do take a car for a test drive before taking the plunge. But yeah, I'm just glad that it all worked out. So yeah, my wheel came and fell in love with it. I started spinning immediately, and I will say, because I learned to drop spindle first, there wasn't much of a learning curve when it came to transitioning to a wheel, because the hand motions are the same. It's just in a different direction. With a drop spindle, you're going up and down, vertical, whereas with a spinning wheel, you're spinning horizontally. So you're feeding the yarn into the orifice horizontally. But at the same time, because I had such a great experience with Craftsy and learning how to drop spindle from that class, I decided to hop on Craftsy again, and I took a really great class with JC Boggs Faulkner, who, if you're not familiar, she's actually the editor-in-chief of Ply magazine, a magazine dedicated to spinning, which is a really beautiful magazine, by the way. And her teaching style is excellent. My gosh, I learned so much from that class. She got into the nitty-gritty of, all the different types of plying methods. I believe it was called drafting from worsted to woolen. I'll pop, again, all the information in the down bar below, but she takes you through all of it. And, coming away from that class, I realized that I am actually not really into being a technical spinner. I'm really not into the technical aspect of spinning. I definitely have a short forward draw, and it kind of varies. Like I'll, short forward draw, short forward long draw, depending whatever mood I'm in, I'll just default to whatever my hands want to do, and I'm completely fine with that. I think for me, that's the beauty of spinning, just going through the motions of drafting and, feeling the fiber flow through your hands and watching it load up onto the bobbin. It's really, really kind of magical. But I will say, when I was also, just learning, getting acclimated with my wheel, a few people recommended classes by Judith McKenzie, and oh my goodness, what a great instructor. I mean, JC Boggs Faulkner is great, but Judith McKenzie, taking a class with her, it was an online class as well, but any class with her is just, it's so zen. Like, her teaching style is just so serene and very, just incredibly zen-like. After every session, you just feel like you came out of a meditation session. You come away with so much knowledge. As usual, I'm blanking on the name of the class that I took by her, but I just looked up online, and she does have another online course for spinning called 3 Bags Full, which I will link to down below. But seriously, any class by Judith McKenzie, highly, highly recommend. And again, if you are not into learning through video, she does have a book called The Intentional Spinner, A Holistic Approach to Making Yarn. Again, just a really wonderful book to have in your library. This one here actually comes with a DVD. So do people have DVDs anymore? I think people just stream things now. But anyway, if you can find it and you have a DVD player, that's a nice bonus. Although I did look on Amazon, and I think the more recent editions don't come with a DVD, probably because no one really has DVD players anymore. But, I'm speculating. But yeah, just again, a really beautiful book. She goes through all the different sheep breeds, all the different types of fibers, proteins, carding, preparation, fiber prep, which is very, very important. Yeah, it has it all. Again, The Intentional Spinner by Judith McKenzie. Those are the books that I recommend if you are interested in learning to spin on a wheel. They're, again, invaluable. They're always in your library at your disposal to check out when you want. As you can see, I already have some fiber on my wheel. I'm currently spinning some beautiful fiber from the WooLee Witch in her Chocolat colorway. It's Merino and Angelina, and I showed this off on the channel last week. Just a pleasure to spin with. I'm in love. So having a lot of fun spinning that. Someone recently asked me if I knit with my handspun, and yes, I do knit with my handspun, but probably not as often as I should, or not as often as I would like to, but that is something I would like to remedy in the near future. One of the very first patterns that I've knit with my handspun was the Tan House Brook Shawl by Jennifer Lassonde, who you might know as Boston Jen. It was a really simple triangular shawl with, very easy stitch patterns. And I had spun this really beautiful yarn from Corgi Hill Farms. And unfortunately, I believe this shawl succumbed to a plague of moths because I no longer have it. But it was one of my favorite makes. It was so cozy, and I was so proud of myself having spun a whole 4-ounce braid of yarn and making it into this thing. So unfortunately, I think that one is no longer with us. But the other thing that I've knit with my hand spun are birds of happiness. Do you guys remember this pattern? It was like all the rage several years ago. Everyone and their monkey's uncle was knitting a tiny bird of happiness. I will pop some photos of them here. I don't remember where I got this fiber from, but it was so fun. It was so bright and neon, but I had all these tiny bumps of fiber that I spun into mini skeins, and I turned them into Christmas ornaments. I gave some away as gifts. Those tiny birds of happiness, my friends. My gosh. It's a great pattern. Again, I'll link to it down below. But that is pretty much all I can remember ever knitting out of my hand spun. Although I do still have some hand spun skeins that I am coveting that I still don't know what they want to grow up to be. But I'll show them to you now. I showed this off several months ago on the podcast, but this is some hand spun that I spun out of loop fiber. I want to say this is like a DK/worsted weight yarn. This would make a really fun hat or cowl, I think. I mean, obviously not really my color, but for someone else might really enjoy this. So come the holidays, I might whip this up into something. But again, this is by Loop Fiber Studio. It's her natural spring color, 5.4 ounces. So that was a lot of fiber. And it was the fiber content in here is merino, bamboo, tussa silk, and angelina. I mean, Loop Fiber Studio, seriously, one of my favorite fiber artists. This yarn seriously reminds me of chocolate mint ice cream. It's just so fun. Again, a colorway that really is not my jam, but it's been in my stash for so long. I really need to make something with it. And again, it's just kind of got like an uneven ply. We've got some fat worms, we've got some skinny worms in here, but at the end of the day, I think it would be really fun to just maybe hold it together with another yarn just to tone down the color. And I don't know, again, like another hat or cowl, maybe a hat and cowl, maybe a hat and mitten set. Who knows? Who knows? This yarn here is yarn that I spun up at the Cape. It was, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, and Dennis and I were staying up at the Cape for the week, and then his mother texted me. She goes, "By the way, there's a spinning wheel in the guest room, so if you want to pull it out, you're free to spin. There's some wool." And Carol, I was so happy to take you up on that offer. Thank you. And I spun this entire skein during our stay. But it was a Ren and Ollie bat that I had, and I plied it together with some chocolate natural fiber, and it just, yeah. This one's my favorite, I think. This I could see making something for myself with. So let me know in the comments down below, what should those skeins become? I could really use some suggestions. And that's the story of all of my hand spun that I currently have. I brought down this whole tub of spinning stuff from the attic, where apparently everything lives. And yeah, guys, I have all these unfinished hand spun bobbins. Like, oh gosh, this stuff, holy cow. Remember Akerworks? These bobbins are made by Akerworks, and they're 3D printed spindles. So fun. They come in many different colorways. I already have one loaded up on Tallulah, but I have another one in green. Anyway, I just have all these bobbins of unfinished hand spun on here that I don't know what to do with. I mean, maybe I will ply them together and make something fun. I could really get some fun 3-ply or 4-ply out of them. I need to free these up. So anyway, I might just do that. Yeah, so we've got some bobbins here. We've got another bobbin with hand spun on there. I have a problem, guys. I have a serious problem finishing what I start. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've got some hand carders here. So there's that. And then we've got this. Yeah, I can't remember what this is called. I forget who makes this. Again, it's been a really long time, guys, but this is a really cool contraption. Typically when you're spinning, this tension loop right here, you have to stop occasionally and adjust it up and down the flywheel to evenly distribute your singles along the bobbin, if that makes sense. And this spares you that. It automatically goes up and down along the bobbin while you're spinning, and it's great. Again, a little bit of a learning curve. You have to get used to it, but really, really interesting. And yeah, gonna have a lot of fun with that later as well. What else do we have in here? Oh goodness. We have a light. We have that will come in handy. And oh, look, I have some more thingamajigs for my electric eel wheel. The electric eel wheel. We didn't talk about the electric eel wheel. I have one of those little doodads as well. Yes, this is what I need. This is what's for plying, my friends. As you can see, I have never used this, which is really sad. But this is a flywheel for plying yarn. So as you can see, this flywheel right here, it's very narrow, it's very slim, and when you're trying to ply your singles together, there's only so much it can handle, which is where this comes in. So it's, you know, obviously has a wider girth, it can handle bigger loads on the bobbin, and it's great. So yeah, I need to pick up where I left off with spinning, my friends, but let me talk about the electric eel wheel for a second. This nifty contraption is so cute. Yeah, this is the electric eel wheel. It is an electric e-spinner. It's tiny but mighty, and it has this thing. I'm so afraid it's gonna get lost. And clearly, as you can see, I have something on the bobbin, but it has a little thing that you plug in, and you're gold. Anyway, I stopped spinning on this because I have to purchase some suction cups to hold it in place, because as you can see, it's very, very light. So when I place it down on a table, if I don't have anything underneath it to stabilize it, like just to prevent it from slipping and sliding, yeah, this is prone to moving and slipping and sliding. So I've got to go on Amazon at some point. I don't know why I haven't, but just, you know, it has these little notches down here that you can easily pop a suction cup on every end and just adhere it to a surface so it doesn't slide all around. But this is a fun little travel companion if you're really into spinning and you want to travel with it, or if you want to spin while watching TV. It's so fun, guys. You've probably seen them floating around fiber festivals. I purchased this one online, and yeah, it just comes with a whole bunch of little bobbins. Again, like, I really need to sit down and finish what I start. This is some really fun fiber by, what is it, Squid & Co. My memory, I cannot remember, but it's Illyrian Wings by this really awesome fiber artist. Again, inspired by A Court of Thorns and Roses. Gabby of Plies and Hellhounds actually knit an entire cardigan out of this fiber, and I wanted to copycat hers, and yeah, clearly I'm falling behind. So anyway, there's the fiber. Really, really fun, and I should really just finish it. So that's my electric eel wheel. And I believe that is all I have to talk about spinning. Yeah, a little bit of a different episode this week. I'm trying 2 different camera setups, so we'll see how this edits together. I have a feeling it's gonna be a nightmare, and I can see that my other camera over there just died. It stopped recording, as these things do. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you feel inspired to pick up your spinning again or start learning to spin. Again, I will link to all of the resources that I mentioned in the description box below if you want to check those out. Some of those will be affiliate links. That means if you click on a link and you purchase something, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It just goes back into this channel and supporting what it is that I do. If you have any questions about spinning, let me know in the comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you would like to see more spinning content on this channel, let me know what you want to see. I'm open to suggestions. And yeah, we'll just keep going from here. That said, thank you so much as always for joining me. If you're new here, this is not the normal format of my channel, but if you enjoyed it and you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe down below. I'm putting out videos for your viewing pleasure every week, and until the next video, have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next time.